Beatrice, welcome to the show. Nice to see you again.
Hey, Tom.
Like, what, 3 years?
It's been 3 years.
You were on when I was a guest host.
I guess, yeah, you were. You were just a guest host. Look at you now.
Yeah, I'm still kind of a guest host.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's okay.
in some ways. Nice to have you back. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, I'm like actually a very like recurring guest on the show. I'm very happy to be here again.
Well, I've been looking forward to it ever since I found out you were coming in. I've been really I've been kind of pumped about it.
Am I your favorite artist?
You are my favorite artist of all time.
Yes.
It's nice to also have you at the piano a little bit.
Yeah, it's very Billy Joel-y, you know.
Yeah.
It's different.
Do you playing since you were 4 years old?
About, as soon as my mom could like put me on a bench, and she tried the violin first, but that was terrible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so thank God for my parents. In their ears, they put me on the piano after.
The tuning is hard on the violin.
The tuning is very hard. Yeah.
I'm learning now, and I'm really bad at it.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know.
I'm learning violin now.
Oh, you're learning.
Yeah, I'm learning violin. This is true. This is true. I'm learning violin now.
Oh my God.
And I am so bad. I'm learning fiddle, right?
Oh, right.
And I'm so bad.
Okay.
Wow, I'm really terrible. Yeah. Do you remember the first thing you learned how to play on piano when you were like a kid?
Yeah. I mean, there was probably like some basic scales. Like you go like.
Here we go.
I can't even do it right anymore. Stuff like that,
Yeah.
And then you go from like some classic little Mozart piece and
You
some.
got any of that?
Vous dirais-je maman, which is the.
Come on.
I'm not gonna. That's actually Mozart.
Yeah.
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 No, it's funny.
And so when you sit down at the piano now, I like to ask this question. When you sit down at the piano now,
Yes.
just to get yourself comfortable, what's the first thing you kind of play?
I mean, it depends, because if I'm warming up for a show, which I never do, which is a terrible thing, and my mom would be very furious because she's a pianist and she's always like, try to do some scales and stuff, and I'm like, nope. But it's true. I do try to. I'll do some like classic Coeur de Pirate stuff, and that'll just like get me in the mood, and then I'll be sad, and it'll be perfect for the show.
Oh, good. Get you all depressed.
Yes.
Dead inside.
Dead inside.
Perfect for the shirt you're wearing. A new album is an interesting title, right?
Yes. Very interesting. I stole that title, actually. I did steal it.
The title is?
It's called a.k.a. de tempête, ce jardin sera fermé, which means...
During storms, this garden will be closed.
Exactly. Which is a nice metaphor when you come to think of it. And I totally stole that from the city of Paris.
Oh, is that a...
Yeah, it was actually written on a... It's a funny story, actually. Should I tell it?
Come on, why not?
There you go.
It's a radio show.
I was there you go. I was in a full-blown panic attack, and it's not something that people want to talk about usually, but you dissociate a lot, and nobody was helping me. I mean, why would they?
Were you outside?
I was outside.
Yeah.
And I guess it wasn't clear for what was happening. And I remember passing through a park on the left bank of Paris, and the park had this like sign where it was just written "En cas de tempête, ce jardin sera fermé." And I remember stopping in my tracks and like having an out-of-body experience and like realizing what was happening. And ever since, that phrase has been kind of a mantra to me, kind of like a warning that if the world around you is shutting down, like you should not shut down yourself. Like you should just open up and get some help. And that's kind of what the phrase has been about for me.
Important to do, hey?
Yeah.
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 Hard to do. I mean, I had the same thing. I had panic attacks. I still suffer from panic attacks.
Nobody wants to really talk about it, but we're in a day and age where like they happen all the time. So yeah.
I also heard that you almost quit music for a while. I didn't know that.
I did. I was ready to give up. I was in a place where I didn't need to shine that much anymore. Like the needing to be out there in the spotlight and sharing what I know with other people. I wanted to do it, just wanted to help others. So, maybe write music for movies and video games and what I kind of used to do. And then what happened was that I did this TV show in France, and it was the equivalent of American Idol.
You were like a judge.
I was a judge,
yeah.
And again, I was in my place. I was like, I'm just gonna hang out and see these new artists, and it's so cool. And this guy from Venezuela came and sung one of my songs, and he like explained he learned French through me, and it was such a great moment for me personally. On a personal level, I really realized that I still had a role to play in people's lives, and that was it for me. I went ahead.
What was going on in your life? Like, what was the reason that you felt like you wanted to stop?
I don't know. I guess probably I did a big tour, and after the tour, I didn't really know what to do with myself anymore. It was like you have so much of euphoria from tour,
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh my God, this was really tiring, and I got sick a lot, and I didn't really plan it properly, which is not what I'm going to do now when I go back on tour, because I'm very excited to go back. But it was just, I was in this like hole of I don't know who I am anymore. And I didn't know if I wanted to go through that again. So I guess that's probably why I doubted my capacities.
What kind of changes are you making this time?
I'm trying to, go where it matters and take things in a very healthy manner.
What does that look like?
I don't know. You stay really healthy on the road. Like people think we have this like rock and roll lifestyle, but it's really about sleeping 12 hours and then not drinking and not smoking. I know some people do it, but I really can't. So, because I'm getting older.
Flea says that. He says that, at a certain point, the Red Hot Chili Peppers changed from a case of the Miller Lite to a bowl of brown rice.
Oh, God. That's what he said?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Oh, God.
Well,
Yeah, you should see my writer now. It's like raspberries and Oreos.
But I'm not kidding around. We do think, because I think I can tell you when I first went on the road, that was all I could think about, And Frank, you know about this. Like, all I could think about was, I get to drink a bunch of beer backstage, and I get to, maybe smoke dope or something like that, and I get to party a little bit, This is for like the first little bit, and I was kind of living the high life.
The high life, of course.
So to speak.
Or drinking beers.
Yeah.
Of course, in the backstage. That's the high life.
But it's unsustainable.
You can't do that. No, there's no way. Like, people honestly think that we party, and we really don't. It's just about staying healthy. We have like 3 shows back to back. Sometimes it's really, really intense and a lot of traveling. So, and bus call is at midnight. So,
yeah. How about mental health wise? What are you doing? What are you doing there to keep yourself?
So you try to, meditate when you can. It's really hard for me. I try to do my best, but
do you have the apps?
I do have the apps now. It's nice, but it's true that for the mental health, it is a lot of, you go from playing in front of 2,000 people, and then you go back to your hotel room in your bus, and you're alone, and you go in your bunk bed, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna try to sleep, and you try to get down from the euphoria. So like obviously the brain goes through many changes, and nobody really talks about that because it's like such a great job and it's such a wonderful thing to do all the time. But it's true that I think it does play a part on how you're supposed to feel and your emotional balance, for sure.
It's great to hear you talk so openly about all of this, because I also know that in this new record, it's all in French. Last time you were on the show, it was to talk about your English language record.
Of course.
It was to talk mainly about that. And I read that you said that you needed this album to be all in French because only then could you describe the subtleties of the experience that you went through.
This album is about extremes, so that's why there's the color red. That's why it's so visually graphic too. It's an album that talks about things that I've experienced, and to me, English, I'm good at it. I'm good at writing English. I think I don't master it completely. I think I could eventually, but for this record, since the subjects are so intense and they're so hard and they're so personal to me, I needed to do it in French. I needed to master it completely. I needed to use images that would be okay for me to regain control over my experiences, the things that I went through.
Is it possible to give me an example of something that's easier to say in French? I
don't think it's easier to say it. I think it was very traumatic to do the album for me as well. Like I remember I went through many phases while creating this album where it was, from I was angry, and then I was sad, and then I was defeated, and then I was liberated.
You were angry, then you were sad, then you were defended, then you were defeated, then you were liberated.
Yeah. There are songs that talk about conjugal rape. There are songs that talk about, the gray areas of consent. There are songs that talk about, my basic reactions imposed by the patriarchy when you learn that your boyfriend is cheating on you. And like your first thought is to say, I'm going to hate the women he did it with, when really that's not the problem. That's something that's been imposed by our society our whole lives. It's really about, realizing how integrated sexism has gotten me in situations where I really shouldn't have been. And it's, I think this album it was really important for me, for sure. But I hope it helps other girls and, not just girls, boys too, to realize how like we are in situations sometimes that, we are master of them. We can get out of them, not all of them. And, it wasn't something that was easy to do for me.
How are you finding talking about it? Like, I mean, it's one thing to sing these songs and one thing to to write about these experiences in personally. But then you get people like me.
What's up?
Hey, asking you to. I mean, obviously we know one another, so I don't feel so weird about it. But having to ask you to go through some of these darker moments in your life.
I think it's about regaining control over your experiences and telling it how it is. And that is very powerful to me. I do it through music because that is something that I know, and it'll have a reach, and it'll make me transform as well. There was really a before and an after this album, and just talking about it helps me so much because these experiences, like, they're mine, but they're gonna belong to everybody now. Mm-hmm. So that's it's like a huge weight off my shoulders in a way, and that I get to help in a way. Maybe I don't know. Hopefully, that is a great win on my part. Because like what happened to me was, but now I get to help.
When I found out you were putting out another record at all, I never really asked you about it, but when I found out you were putting another record at all, I was just so happy about it too.
Yeah.
I didn't know whether we were going to get another one from you.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I was like, I look at this record and I'm like, you almost did not happen.
And you see the future happening as well. You see.
We'll see. We're in a very weird time right now for music. Everything is changing. You know, the way that we consume music is so different. And
does that happen? Does that? I don't mean to be ignorant here. You have this a very different career in France as well than you do in Canada. Does that go for France too? Is the music industry different there too?
It's changed so much, and it's not a bad thing. I just feel like it's something that we're like morphing into something different. It's like when people were like buying CDs, like went from cassettes to CDs and then CDs to like pirating. And it's just so weird right now what's happening with streaming. Like I'm all for streaming. No, I don't know somebody that doesn't stream, you know? But it changed the way that we listen to music. It changed the way that we consume it. And
changed the way we listen to music, you think?
Of course. Yeah. The whole genre has changed. Like, have you heard a decent, is there a huge rock band right now?
No.
It's really weird. Like,
I'm getting ready for all the emails I'm going to get just for saying no to that question.
No, but it's kind of, because I remember in 2005, like when I was listening to music and I started getting into music, there was the Strokes, like there was like all these, like the indie scene was so big. And
you were into like Alexis on Fire too,
of
right?
Of course, that was my stuff, and I'm still into it. And now I look at, there's obviously all these like sub genres and sub scenes, but the way even that pop music sounds like now, like, is towards the genre that it does work in streaming. So let's just say, like, right now what works in streaming, because it's made for it in a way, is hip-hop and urban music, and all of that kind of changes the way that pop music sounds. And even I like do it. So that's like,
do you feel yourself shifting yourself? Of course.
Yeah, I do. And I love hip-hop and I love urban music, and it's part of, my culture too. So it's really interesting. I find it really interesting how everything is morphing, and obviously it's going to go back to stuff that we know eventually. But right now, that's how it is.
It's been so great having you in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, I'm always happy to be here.